Hello and welcome to today's session. So welcome back. Today we're going to talk for second year students for degree, third semester to be precise, and we are talking about foundation courses. Now we need to have a quick recap of what these foundation courses are all about and why are we doing it. So let me give you a quick snippet. The academic curriculum that you have today is really not sufficient in order to get jobs. I'm quite hopeful that you agree with me. You do learn a lot of aspects, but these learnings are not good enough. They do not really suffice when you go for any kind of job opportunities, or even if you want to start something on your own, you want to start your own business, but you do not really get all the knowledge, all the skills and competencies that you need. So what the government did, it made use of the skilling arm of the state government of AP, Andhra Pradesh, which is AP State Skill Development Corporation. So APSSDC has introduced the foundation courses since last year, and this is in collaboration with the Andhra Pradesh Council of Higher Education. So what we are doing is we are providing certain learning, certain skilling, which fills the gap between what your academic curriculum offers and what you actually need. So it says foundation course has been introduced to bachelor's degree across all streams to impart essential knowledge and skills that are critical in today's dynamic world. The course is designed to help students attain required skills in the areas of human values and professional ethics, environmental studies, information technology, communication and soft skills, analytical skills, entrepreneurship skills, and leadership skills. So these are the various skills that we are talking about for you. Now the course scope for live sessions. So like you know, the foundation courses are for second year and first year students. So first year, second semester, as well as second year students. But now we are also talking about other semesters as well. But primarily these live sessions are meant for first year students and second year students. Now you will wonder, what about the final year students? For final year students also, we have one session 4 to 5 in terms of campus recruitment training. Apart from that, there will also be a classroom session that's going to start very soon. But for now, the learnings will be online through these live telecast on MANATV as well as the YouTube channel. So even though the course index talks about 7 key essentials spread across all the semesters, the scope of learning through online platform is second and fourth semester. So in second semester, you learn about information technology and communication and soft skills. In fourth semester, communication and soft skills part 2, analytical skills, entrepreneurship skills, and leadership skills. Now, if we have to dig deeper into these courses, what they're going to offer. So IT, we're going to teach about basics of computers, MS Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. For communication and soft skills, vocabulary building, grammar, part 1, part 2, listening skills and reading skills. Communication, the second segment, soft skills, paragraph writing, paraphrasing and summarizing, letter writing, resume writing and cover letter. And analytical skills, this is for fourth semester, data analysis, sequence and series, arithmetic ability, quantitative aptitude, and business computation. The penultimate course is on entrepreneurship skills, where we train you on entrepreneurship, idea generation, opportunity assessment, project formulation and appraisal, institutions supporting small business enterprises, and government policy and taxation. And the last segment will be on leadership skills, leadership for organization and management, behavioral concepts, interpersonal behavior, group dynamics, and team building. So these are the learnings, overall learnings that you're going to get through the live session. And what we are going to do today is the foundation course, the communication and soft skill part 2. This is for second year, third semester. So what are we going to learn? There are a total of 5 units in this particular training program. You're going to learn about pronunciation, which I'm going to start today, the sounds of English language, then pronunciation part 2, which is word accent and intonation. Unit 3 will be on speaking skills, that is part 1, speaking skills, conversation skills, interview skills, presentation skills, and public speaking. Unit 4 is Speaking Skills Part 2, where you will do a live interactive session on role plays, debate, group discussion, and the writing skill will end this particular entire segment, where you will learn about spellings, punctuation, and information transfer, how to format your information, how to structure it by using tables, bar diagrams, line graphs, pie diagrams, flowchart, tree diagrams, and pictures. Now you would wonder, why do I need to learn about pictures and spelling? The answer is pretty simple. The kind of picture that you use in your PowerPoint or your Word document, it has to follow certain rules, it has to follow certain procedures. In case if you make a mistake there, you could be in trouble. Either you lose points, or sometimes it can lead to a legal problem as well. When I go to that segment, I'll talk about that. Just to give you a quick hint, if you use an image which has a watermark in the bottom and you use that image in your PowerPoint, that means it's a copyright violation. You are not allowed to use a copyright image or any content which has copyright for your purpose, no matter what it is, without any permission. So you got to be very careful what kind of pictures that you use in your PowerPoint. Now coming to spellings, quick example that I can think of where people make a lot of mistakes in terms of spellings. I'm going to expand this a little bit so that this is clearly visible to all of you. Okay, so we have these two words, they have different meaning and the spelling is also different. People usually make mistake in terms of this particular word. Likewise, I'm going to give you certain more examples, and I want to tell you why it's important that you need to understand the proper spelling, because a shift in spelling could mean a shift in the shift in the meaning as well. So your knowledge pertaining to the right kind of spelling is extremely important. Let me give you one more example. Okay, so I've given you some examples. These are the reasons why it's important that you understand how spellings work, because if you make a mistake, it can change the meaning of the word as well. Another common word where people make a mistake in terms of spellings, T-H-E-R-E, there, T-H-E-I-R, both are pronounced the same there, but both have different meanings. To and to, T-O-O, advice and advise. These are two legitimate words, these are accurate words, but ADVIC has a different meaning and different function. Parts of speech, ADVISE has a different function and different meaning. Affect and effect. Confirm, both are pronounced the same way, confirm, but of course there is a shift in the meaning. So you have to be very careful about the spellings. That's why we are going to have a segment when we talk about information transfer and writing skills. We're going to train you on spelling and punctuation. When to use what kind of punctuation, it's very, very important. But to begin with, we are going to talk about the sounds of English language. All right. So to begin with sounds of English language, I want to start with my communication excellence module for you. I'm going to skip through this and move on to the communication aspect. Now, before we understand what do we mean by sounds in English language, we need to understand what comes before the sound, and that is the communication aspect. So what do we mean by communication? Communication is very simple. It's not about two people talking to each other. Something very, so when we think about a question, the answers always become very complicated. You need to think on a very rudimentary, elementary and simplistic way. Communication is as simple as transfer of information between two segments or 2 points from one place to another. For example, I have this keyboard right now. When I click on the button, the slide changes. Can we have the slide, please? See how the slide is changing because I'm clicking on the up arrow key and down arrow key. So you have a keyboard like this. Let me keep it straight for you. When I change the up and down arrow key, the slide changes. Why is it happening? You could say that it's happening because of technology. Well, technology is the overall phenomena which is making it happen. But basically, the keyboard is communicating with the laptop or the computer. The computer is communicating with a machine through which the information is getting beamed over to you. I am sitting far away from you, but whatever I am saying right now, you are able to hear and you are able to see all my gestures. How are you able to do that? It's happening because of satellite communication. So there is communication involved everywhere, wherever there is an exchange of information, exchange of data. I may have a phone which is black in color, and you may have a phone which is white in color. You may have a Samsung, I may have a Micromax, but when I send a message, you receive and you respond to it, right? Sometimes you don't have to respond. So, but you are receiving the information. I am using a different network, a different device, I am in a different place. You are in a different place, you are using a different device, you are using a different connection, but you are still receiving that information. That is because there is a communication happening. So any exchange of information, any transmission of data is what communication is all about. Now what we learned in our schools is there is a sender of information who sends a message, and there is a receiver, and the receiver sends a feedback, and this is the entire communication cycle. So if you see the mouse on the screen, so this is how the communication cycle is built. This is what was told to us in our classroom. But if you look at the header, it says communication cycle, a myth, which means it's not always correct. Why am I saying it's not always correct? Take a look at these three pictures. You have a billboard, you have a newspaper, you have the news channel. You are getting information from all these three mediums. You get to know about some sale, you read about some news, like yesterday Mumbai was completely flooded, or you watch a news about the floods in different parts of the country. You are receiving information, but are you talking back? Are you also sending an information back to the newspaper? Are you talking in front of the hoarding? Say for example, you're going to your college and there is a big hoarding on the crossroad which says 50% sale in Big Bazaar. So do you talk to the hoarding, say thank you so much, good, thank you for informing me? No, you don't do that. You make a decision. If you really want to buy something, you go, otherwise you don't go. But you have that information. It's quite possible that you will also pass on the information to somebody else, but you are not responding back to the sender of the information. There is no feedback there. So what we learned in our school in terms of this particular cycle, the sender, message, receiver, slide please, sender, message, receiver and feedback, it's always not necessary. Alright, the communication cycle need not be there, because we just saw a realistic example where the feedback, what you see this segment, the feedback may or may not exist, but still the communication is complete because you're receiving the information. Now, essentials of communication, even though we are talking about sounds, there are certain essentials in terms of an effective communication, and these are assertiveness, authenticity, open-mindedness, empathy, clarity, and listening skills. Please make a note of these 6 essentials. Assertiveness, authenticity, open-mindedness, empathy, clarity, and listening skills. All right. Now, this is not completely relevant in terms of understanding sound. So, when we talk about communication as a skill, I'll talk about that in detail in the next segment. So, what are the communication type? Here again, we have a little bit of misunderstanding. So, the communication type, we have verbal communication and we have non-verbal communication. We usually think verbal communication is oral communication and written communication is not part of verbal communication. That is wrong. Verbal means verb. Verb means action. When you're writing on a piece of paper, when you're writing an email, when you're writing a memo or a circular, even a text message, all these are part of verbal communication. So what are the examples of verbal communication? We have face-to-face, oral communication, written communication. For example, memos, text message, email, handwritten note, WhatsApp, all this is an example of verbal communication. Then what do we mean by non-verbal communication? Non-verbal communication basically means gestures, expressions, and body language. Say for example, the way I'm using my hand to denote something. For example, there's a huge opportunity for students. Now I'm using my hand. You need to pay just 30 minutes in a day. So I'm depicting 30 like this. Out of 24 hours, I'm saying only 30 minutes in a day. So I'm using my hands to express myself. These hand gestures or these gestures are also called active speech reduction. Whatever you want to speak, you can also use your gestures in order to reduce the number of words that you're going to speak. All right. We'll have a separate module on body language as well, so we'll look at that in detail. Now, moving on to the sound clusters, we have 4 pillars of communication. Today we are going to talk about the first one. So what are these 4 pillars? They are pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, and fluency. These are the 4 fundamental pillars of effective communication. Since our module is about the sounds in English language, we will talk about pronunciation. All right. Now let's move forward. Now, why do we need to understand sound? Now, this is a tree, and I call it a communication tree. Now, in order to communicate with someone, the first thing that we need is a language. It could be any language. The languages can be broken into sentences. So, simple, compound, complex, and sentences can be broken into words. What do we mean by sentence? A group of words or something that makes sense and has a tense. Sense, tense, sentence. So, sentences can be broken into words and words can be broken into letters. This is what everybody ends up saying. But if you look at the title of this particular slide, it says oral communication. We are talking about sounds, so words are not broken into letters, words are broken into sounds. The reason words are broken into sounds, because if I am writing something, say for example, let me go back to my design slide. For example, let me use this particular box. I'm going to write a sentence. So what is the language here? The language is English. What is the sentence? This is the entire sentence. How many words it has? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has 5 words, 1 sentence, and you can, if you want, you can also count the number of letters. So let's look at the number of letters. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's almost 20 plus. So since I'm writing this sentence, you are able to translate from sentence to words to letters. For example, if I have to break it down to letters, this is how it will look like. So these are all the letters. However, I'm talking to you. I'm on a TV studio, I'm talking to you. I'm talking a sentence, I'm following a particular language, I'm speaking sentences, the sentence has words, but the words are not broken into letters the way you saw it on the slide. You saw these many letters, right? Exactly. So this is a complete sentence. Then I broke it into words, then I broke it into letters. But when I'm speaking to you, either I'm speaking from the studio or I'm speaking in front of you, I'm not speaking letters. You won't be able to break the words into letters. You will eventually break that into sounds because I'm speaking and you are listening. And that is the reason a language is broken into sounds after sentence and word. Now let's take a quick look at what do we mean by sounds. Alright, so in order to understand sounds, we need to understand pronunciation. So pronunciation refers to the way in which we make the sound of words. It also means creating correct sounds using the muscles of our mouth, tongue and lips, etc. Why are we talking about these elements, mouth, tongue, lips? I will talk about that soon. There are other important aspects of pronunciation, which is word stress, sentence stress, linking and intonation. What do we mean by word stress? It's emphasis on, when there is an emphasis on certain syllables in a word, you will understand syllables very soon. Sentence stress, emphasis on certain words in a sentence. Linking, joining certain words together. What do I mean by linking? Let me quickly give you an example of linking. Say for example, I have a word which is bus stop. So when I am pronouncing it, I don't say bus stop. When I am pronouncing, I remove one S and I just say bus stop. Because I am linking the last S sound and adding that to the first S sound of the next word. So this S and this S is getting joined, so I eliminate one. So that is what linking is all about, because linking actually it enables fluency when you're speaking in a particular language. Alright, so let's take a look at what do we mean by intonation. Intonation is the rise and fall of our voice as we speak. Every language has a specific rhythm, it has a specific melody. If you go to the coastal AP area, people speak in a very different way. The rise and fall of their sentences, when they are speaking, is very different from the way people speak in this part of the state. So every region has certain elements that people pick and it influences the language. And what are these influences? Influence number one is mother tongue. Influence number two is regional. What do we mean by mother tongue influence? The common myth and common misunderstanding is when people don't pronounce words properly, when they make a mistake in terms of pronunciation, they say that it's a mother tongue influence, but actually it's wrong. Mother tongue influence does not impact sounds and pronunciation. Mother tongue influence impacts grammar, it impacts the word order. Let me give you the most common example I can think of. In AP and Telangana, this entire region, people use words which are redundant in a sentence. For example, I came late, why? Because it was raining. That why because is a Telugu word which is Yendukante, and they do a direct translation. Because when you have the word why, you don't need because. For example, can you able to do it? Can itself is an ability. I can't able to do it. Now, I cannot means I cannot do it. That able word is not really necessary. So people end up using these words because they are doing a literal translation from the vernacular language to English, and that's why it takes a hit. And that is how mother tongue influence impacts the word order, and it impacts the entire grammatical construction of a sentence. Then what do we mean by regional influence? Whichever region the person belongs to, they pick certain sounds, they pick certain patterns of sound which is very predominant in that particular region. Regional influence, like I said, impacts the sound, it impacts the pronunciation. Say for example, the word paper, P-A-P-E-R. Some part of the state pronounces that as paper, some part of this says paper. So it's not paper, it's paper. For example, the word class, C-L-A-S-S. Lot of people pronounce that as class. For example, father. Lot of people pronounce that as father. So it's not father. Instead of saying my father is a farmer, a lot of students in interview they say my father is a farmer. Now farmer is a different word altogether. Clause is a different word altogether. For example, the word training, they pronounce that as training. It's not training, it's training. For example, the word third, T-H-I-R-D, third. People say it's third. They don't say third, they pronounce that as third. Now these are the regional influences that impacts the pronunciation, impacts the sound. Why does it happen? It happens because in that particular region, whatever language is predominant, it influences every other language. It happens because the way the language is structured. Every language has certain limitations and certain advantages. Say for example, in Odia language, the sh sound does not exist. They have only s sound. If you go to Maharashtra, they have certain dialects where there is a n sound, like they say Ganesh instead of Ganesh. For example, if you look at Tamil and Malayalam, there is a r sound which does not exist in any other language. So when we talk about sounds, every language has certain qualities. These qualities can be in terms of a limitation and it can be in terms of an advantage. Now what kind of limitation English language has? Now the biggest limitation English language has in terms of sounds is English is a non-phonetic language. What do we mean by non-phonetic language? I will just give you a quick example, then we wrap it up, and day after tomorrow again we talk about in this particular topic. You have two words on your screen right now. You have the word city and you have the word cat. Now first two letters are common in these two words. Two more words, giraffe and gadget, first two letters are common, but the difference here is in the first word C carries the function of a sir, city, and second word C carries the function of a k, cat. Second example, first word carries the function of G as in j, giraffe, it's not giraffe, it's giraffe, and gadget like a g. Why is it happening? Sometimes I use the C as sir, sometimes I use C as k. For example, if I say country instead of a K-O-U-N, I use C. But if I use C, for example, a city, I need to have the s sound. Why is it happening? It's happening because it's a non-phonetic language. What is a non-phonetic language? What are the limitations English language has in terms of sounds? You will get to know in the next session, which will happen day after. Alright? So thank you for tuning in. Whatever questions you have, please post your question on the YouTube channel. I'll take a look and definitely respond. So please stay tuned in because the first segment of this training will be on sounds. The idea is to make you a master of pronunciation. Alright? Thank you for your time. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.